Hey guys, for today's vlog, I had a subscriber ask me about doing highlights over a Retouch application, so that's what we're going to be doing today. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Christy@thecottage.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm driving to work and I came around the corner and this big cloud is just right there on the ground. I know that I have never talked about it before, but my biggest fear is clouds. Not clowns, clouds up in the sky. Except for not all clouds, just certain ones. The ones that sit close to the ground and like hover on the ground. It gives me anxiety. It makes me feel like the sky is closing in. Thank the Lord that when I was getting ready for work, my bathroom window was completely white. Like, it was so foggy I could barely see outside, and I was like, oh my god, why is it so white, like foggy outside? Turns out it's that cloud. Do you see part of it right there, just kind of chilling low to the ground? Thank the Lord I'm running late for work and I didn't go outside when I saw that, because that would have made me panic. I would have had the worst anxiety. It's horrible. Okay, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but a lot of the times in the summer, like, I post what I'm out doing because I like keeping my business page strictly business and not really having any personal stuff on there. But I know it's good to show like your personal life and who you are and everything. So the way that I do that is just through my Instagram stories. So especially in the summertime, I will share like what I'm out doing, and a lot of the times I'm at my grandma's house swimming. And so let me tell you, the house that you see me at now, that's my grandparents' current house when my grandpa passed away. But they had another house that you've probably seen me at too if you follow me on Instagram, and it's actually a local wedding venue now, that my cousin owns. Anyways, they have a pool at their house too. And when my grandparents were living there, it's when I was pregnant with my son, I had a dream, and my dream was that I was swimming in my grandparents' pool, and all of a sudden this cloud, a very dark, like stormy looking cloud, like came and hovered over the swimming pool, and it was just like 10 feet away from the ground. And I was so scared to get out of the pool that like I literally hid under the diving board because I was so afraid of this cloud. And my grandma was out there just standing there, and she's like, what's the problem? Just come on, let's go inside. And I was like, I can't. I was so afraid to get out of the pool and walk into the house because the cloud was just right there, and I was afraid that if I like reached up I would touch it, or I don't know, like it just was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you right there? Why are you so low to the ground? It just freaks me out. Anyways, so ever since then, from that dream, like I literally have the worst anxiety about not all clouds, but some clouds. And that cloud, if there's a cloud that, like, I used to live in, I don't know if anybody from around here knows where Conway, Washington is, but I used to live up on Lake 16, and it's like kind of in the mountains, you know. And anyways, you'd come out of the mountains into the clearing, and like where it's a lot of farmland and the fields and everything. And sometimes when you come out of the mountains and you see into the farmland, you can see like clouds like just hovering really low on the ground. And it always has been, I guess I've always kind of had a weird thing, because that was like when I was younger. But so I've always kind of had a weird thing about clouds freaking me out, or like, and I used to be okay with fog. Fog used to never freak me out until, you know what, one day that I realized that all fog is a cloud that's sitting on the ground. So now fog gives me anxiety. You guys, I live in Washington. Like, how is this a fear? A fear that I have. I don't know. My boyfriend likes to give me a hard time and make fun of me. And I always sound probably ridiculous because I'm like, stop making fun of me. Like, I'm not afraid of clouds. Like, that sounds absurd. I'm not afraid of just like all clouds. It's just some clouds make me uneasy. Like if we're driving and if there's a cloud like over in the distance or like that's just hovering lower than the other clouds, I always like look at it and stare at it. I'm always like, look at that cloud, look at it, it's so low to the ground. And he's like, babe, will you stop it? Like, I don't know. Anyways, maybe I'm weird, but anyways, that was a long ramble. You guys know how I go on my rambles, but I just thought I'd share that with you because I know that I cannot be the only one has a paranoia about clouds. Like, I want to look that up and see if it's an actual fear. If you're a subscriber, if you're watching my video, comment down below if you also have a paranoia or are scared of clouds, because I want to know that I'm not alone. All right, bye.
Okay, so I got to work today, and the reason why I'm having a late start is because my first client had to not no show, but cut her time down in the salon from a color to just a really quick trim, because with COVID cases going up, her family feels uncomfortable being out and about, and I totally respect that decision. And she was like, I feel so bad, let me pay for the whole service, it's last minute. And I'm like, absolutely not. I don't want you to pay for the service, don't even feel bad. But I told her, let me go to the beauty supply store and let me grab your color for you, a fresh box, and develop her. So right now I'm just writing her a little note and telling her like exactly how to mix the color, how to apply it. And let me tell you, I would not do this for everybody. The thing is that she has very, very, like, her gray stands out against the dark color that she puts on her hair. And so I just don't want her to go a long time feeling uncomfortable, especially going into the holidays and feeling like her gray is so bad. And she's a regular and she's like a friend. We grew up together in school, played in band together, all of that stuff. So I really was comfortable doing this for her, and I wanted her to be happy. And so this is me just writing out a little note. And no, I wouldn't do this for everybody. And I'm confident that she's going to come back to me. You know, I don't feel like, oh, one thing that people were saying is, how would you do that? Like, you tell people how to do their hair, they're not going to come back to you. And honestly, that's not like a fear of mine. I just want to respect her and her family's wishes to be in as limited contact with other people as possible. And so if this is something that's going to continue with other clients, like, I'm probably not going to do this for the majority of my clients or any other clients. But, you know, for somebody like her, where I feel like we're friends and we know each other really well, this is something I'm more than happy to do for her. So we just saw on the news that the governor pushed out the restrictions another 4 weeks, and people are honestly like, oh my God, another 4 weeks. And I'm like, did you really think that wasn't gonna happen? Apparently, I mean, like, I don't really pay attention to the numbers because I feel like whatever is gonna happen is gonna happen, and why like stress myself out over it? Like, all I care about is knowing about what's happening or gonna happen within the salon. And I just feel like it's coming, like with California shutting back down. Like, I just wonder how much longer do we have before we're completely shut down. And the thing is that people that got together for Thanksgiving, like, that wave hasn't even really hit yet. So the numbers haven't had a big jump from like Thanksgiving gatherings, and then also with, you know, Christmas gatherings and stuff. Like, I don't know. My mom we already talked, and she's like, I just don't think we'll get together on Christmas, which is fine. I just wonder, like, probably there's going to be a lot of people that will. I don't know if I don't know. We haven't even talked about it with my side of the family, so I don't know what's going to happen, but I just feel like a shutdown is coming with the salons, especially right now we're at 25% shutdown. And then with an extension going on, I just feel like another shutdown is coming. I hope not, but I can see it coming and I wouldn't be shocked. So I don't know.
Hey guys, so it's actually a day in the salon today. And I had somebody ask me about doing a color retouch or doing foils and doing the color retouch around the foils. And the way that I normally do that is I normally go through and apply my color retouch and then go through and foil on top of it because the bleach will eat through the color. But I don't know if that's how I want to do it for the video, because the way that she asked me to do it was to do the foiling and show how to do the color retouch around the foils. So I think that's what she wants me to do. The reason why I prefer doing the color first and then the highlights is because it takes 45 minutes. So I feel like if I do the highlights first and then do the color around it, then it's like your time is going to be a lot longer because you're starting your 45-minute gray coverage timing like, you know, later on, versus if we do the gray coverage and start that timing and then go through and do the foils, like the time is already on countdown. So I just don't foil that way. I don't do my color that way. So I'm just not going to, because I'm thinking of my schedule that I have and I just don't want to waste time. So I'm just going to start with my color application and go through afterwards and then do the foil. Sorry. Also, the color that I will be doing for my retouch today is 505M with Dream Age 507 NG, and this is like for gray coverage with the Matrix line, and that's just what I've used all the time at every job that I've had that's been incorporated Matrix, so I know how to use it, so that's just why I use Matrix. So I mean, I don't think there's anything special about it, it's just what I'm comfortable with. So that's what we're gonna mix, and I'm just going to do half and half.
Okay, to start off my lovely client, we're gonna go through and do around her hairline first, and this is always probably the biggest thing that you can do, because sometimes I feel like the hairline is sometimes harder to get or harder to process, or I don't know, sometimes I feel like I go through and it maybe dries out or something. So I like going through and making sure I hit the hairline really good and make sure that I get that all taken care of. Also, when you go through and do the hairline, please make sure that you're not being sloppy with your work. I cannot stand it when I see people that are applying color and they're like slapping the color on like an inch or halfway down the forehead. I'm like, what are you honestly doing that for? Like, could you really not have cleaned that up any better? And the thing is that we don't know where people are going after they're done with their service. Like, what if somebody has to go to work or a meeting, or who knows? Like, we just never know where our clients have to go. And to be really sloppy with your application and have it fall way down onto their forehead, and then it stains, and then they have this like mask that they leave with, you know, a stain on their forehead. I feel like that's just the worst thing. So usually I try to be really cautious when I apply on the forehead, and then after I'm done with my application, I'll touch it up with a towel just to make sure I get any spots that hopefully won't grab. So just be cautious when you do your application and try to do as clean of an application as possible. So for her, we're just doing the basic color retouch, nothing special or anything. Just gonna go through and finish up this side, and then we will go over and slap the roots on the other side of the head. We're going to finish applying in this back section, and then this is going to start processing, and now we're going to get ready to mix our bleach for our partial foil. Okay, now that we have her color retouch on, her time is starting now, and we're gonna go through and do her highlights, and we just do a partial, just like if you run her hairline and, you know, just a regular partial. So that will process fast, and then by the time her color is done processing, then her highlights will be finished too. So we're gonna mix for that, and I'm just gonna use my Schwarzkopf Blonde Me with 20 volume. All right, so we're just gonna go through and do her partial foil, and we're going to do her foils vertically versus horizontally. That way we don't create any lines in the hair. And the nice thing about doing the foils this way, if you're new to watching my videos, is that this is gonna grow out really softly, and we do her highlights probably every other 2 times. So you can see that her hair will grow out really softly, and she won't feel like every single time she comes in she needs to get her highlights done. It's just going to grow out really naturally, and she won't have a harsh line of demarcation. All right, just finishing up cleaning up that forehead, making sure we don't have any spots that are gonna over process and, you know, be stuck with a mask of color on her face for 3 days or whatever. So we're just gonna go through and not really do a money piece because she doesn't necessarily want it like extra bright around her face and, you know, all that trendy stuff. So we're just gonna do a few really soft weaves. That way it just blends in really nicely and it highlights her face really pretty, but isn't necessarily super bright to where it's going to be a harsh grow out or anything. So yeah, and then we're going to go and do a few foils just over the crown of her head, kind of like in a halo shape. Okay, so we're going to go through, and you can see that even though she has color on her roots, it's not like an extremely thick amount where there's an overabundance of color that's going to cause it to like bleed and just, you know, squirt out of the foils or any of that stuff. So we did a nice application, but it wasn't overly saturated that it's going to make it hard to foil the hair. And I will say the reason that, not just because of the time frame that it takes to do this service, but I find that whenever I go through and I do my, like, you know, years ago when I used to do it this way, when I would go through and do my highlights first and then go through and do my color application, for one, the foils are going to sit there for like a very long time. If you have to apply and then go all the way back through and apply color, then it's going to sit on there for like a whole nother 45 minutes or whatever. I mean, what are you going to do if you have to pull your foils out? That's going to be really hard. You're not going to be able to do that. It could just get really messy, and I just don't like that. But another thing too is that if you have your foils on and then you have to go through and do your root retouch, you have to move every single foil around to be able to get to the roots underneath. Or what if you're doing a weave and then you're weaving out, you know, her hair, and what if she has gray hair? Then chances are you can't really get to the weave underneath there, and so there might be little like gray spots that kind of show through, or maybe you can't hit the roots all the way. So I just don't like that. I just don't like that idea at all. I feel like anytime that you have to go through and move the foils around, you're at risk of causing a lot of bleeders, or lifting the foils and pulling them, so then they're not going to be like directly on the root, and you're going to have like the appearance of grow out. Like I've watched other people do it when they go through and do the highlights, and then they like move the foils back and forth, and it's tugging and pulling on them and whatever, and then by the time they're done with their service, it's like they have almost half an inch of grow out from their highlights because it's moved that far away from the roots through moving them around, trying to hit the roots and everything with the grow out color. So that's why I like to do my root retouch color first and then go through and do my highlights, because I know my foils aren't going to slide. I know that the bleach isn't going to overexpand. It's not going to bleed or anything like that. And it just works out so much better for me this way. So that's why I just prefer doing it like this. And then also another thing is when I wash the hair out, I usually don't really have to tone the hair. I'll wash the hair out, or not wash it, but just like rinse the bleach out and maybe like wash the bleach out. But then I'll kind of go through and suds up the color that's in the roots, and I'll just kind of pull it through the bleached ends. And I usually don't even have to tone the hair anymore, because the color from the scalp that I'm kind of pulling through the ends is kind of toning the blonde down now. So I kind of like that also, because then it blends a lot more naturally with the color that she has on her roots. And generally, I mean, you guys, I don't do a lot of gray coverage. I mean, I do some, but not like a whole bunch. But anytime I do gray coverage, like somebody doesn't want necessarily like a whole bunch of blonde, like very white blonde. They want it to like blend a little bit better and maybe be a little bit more warmer and natural looking. So that's why I feel like if I go through and just kind of pull the root color through the bleach or the highlights, it will blend a lot better and it will kind of soften it up, whatever. So this is the final look. We're just gonna go through and put some curls in our hair. And this is how I love to style her hair, because she has such a really pretty natural curl. So I like working with her curl more now. So we just dry it mostly like solid on the top, and then just let the underneath kind of dry more naturally. And we're just gonna go through and put a few really soft, pretty curls in her hair and kind of go back and forth in different directions, so it's kind of a more natural looking curl. And we're just going to kind of scrunch it and blend it in with her natural curl. Just something really soft and subtle to work with her curl instead of fight against it. But yeah, you can see here that the color, the highlights just blend really pretty from root to ends. It's not like she has overly blonde hair anywhere at all. It just all blends really pretty nicely together. So this is just how I choose to do my root gray coverage, my root application with highlights. And I understand that there's other ways that you can do it, but this is the way that I do it. So sorry if this wasn't the application that you were hoping for when you requested this video, but this is just how I personally go about doing this service. Here's her final color. You can see that the highlights are just really nice and soft golden tone. This color right here, I feel like this light just makes it reflect even more like yellow than what it really is. But she was really happy with her color. She really loves her highlights and how soft and subtle they are and how much it blends with her color and everything. So I hope this helped you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.